$1.50 a student to attend something like that. And there are also, for low decile schools, we have a week of performances that are free as well. But we're finding that when you support that with programs that might be taking place in schools with an education program that sits around the performance, the power of that in terms of engagement or keeping attention at schools or unlocking that potential is very significant. It's a very exciting development. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon and Lester. That figure of 60,000 people, that's a phenomenal number. Are you finding, and I know Councillor and I referred to the work you're doing in the schools, that drama is becoming increasingly popular as a choice, as a subject, as an academic choice, and as almost a career path for increasing number of students. I'm thinking particularly in high school when they get to year 12 and 13. Are you finding that you're dealing with quite a lot of people in that age group?
I think we're seeing a slight increase in that. I mean, I think the biggest change is that, like when I was growing up at school, everybody, if you were interested in something like that, you all thought you were a bit weird. But now people it's part of who they are. It's part of they can tell stories. They're comfortable with their culture. They're comfortable with performance. So they look at it in that wider area. And I think the benefit for us, if we think about and this is where I think we directly address the Auckland plan, is that what you're doing is you're fostering creative thinking, thinking about innovation, how people might build confidence and take a leadership role in what you're doing. And arts going into schools plays all those kind of roles, so that when people go into whatever field they might choose, and I hope they don't all want to become actors, but when they take on their own profession, they've got skills that they can transfer into their own lives. They build life skills.
As Lester's mentioned, we have 11,000 students come into our programs in terms of matinees and workshops and meeting the actors and the directors and the like. And certainly that's a very important part of our program. The other thing is AUT is one of our stakeholders in the building. They've taken a share in the building. And we have a relationship with AUT where we exchange students and our staff with those facilities. And they're very keen on working with us in the new theatre because they see drama and storytelling and the creative pursuits as a very important part of education, not just for drama people or actors, but for people doing all sorts of courses, a whole variety of courses. So we see that as very important. The other thing I think is, although we play to 60,000 now, a lot of people don't even know where we play. I mean, it's lovely being down at Kew. A lot of people don't even know where the Maidment is. And being down on the waterfront, we're quite sure that we will grow our people we play to by significant numbers, well over 100,000 over a period of time as we build up that recognition of being recognised on the waterfront and a visible presence.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. Thanks for the work that you're doing, and it's good to hear that the building's progressing really well. I'm just asking in the context that we have $10 million of ratepayers' money has gone into this. And Chairman, you may do your work pro bono, I don't know, and if you do, that's so commendable, but if you don't, how do you manage your conflict around progress payments, etc.?
So we have for the actual building contract you're talking about, what we've done is we created a trust, the Waterfront Theatre Trust, and then we created a company called Waterfront Theatre Limited, and the reason for that is that AUT, making a contribution of $5 million, can't invest in a trust, so we created a company. That's chaired by Matthew Crockham, who you probably know from Cooper & Company. We have a very strong board, so that is actually the contracting party. I'm not involved in that at all. So and the reason that we created the trust and then the company was that it was independent from the Auckland Theatre Company, so that it's a long-term asset for the people of Auckland.
Right, that's great governance.
Yeah, and Lester likes to say, well, certainly in the last 10 years we've never made a loss as an operating company. We're very, we've got a great board on Auckland Theatre Company, and we're very diligent about having reserves and making sure that we can take risk with our storytelling, because it's important to do that, as well as doing the shows that we know will get lots of people in attendance, and we've done plenty of those. So we're very conscious of that issue. As far as the actual building is concerned, I'm the lead architect. I'm also the chair of Auckland Theatre Company. I've declared my conflict of interest to everybody and said I'll work it as hard as I can to make sure that we get the best we can. But having said that, we have that contracting arrangement. As a separate entity, we have a contract, an engineer to the contractor who's an independent person who satisfies all the payments to Hawkins, so it's all very clear on the
Good
lines.
separation. Thank you
Yes,
very much.
that's right.
Thank you. Final question, councillor Walker.
Yeah, I don't doubt that the location that you've got is going to be immensely successful, and I'd anticipate that it will probably make a real difference in enlivening that area across the restaurant scene in a variety of things. Have you identified a number of numbers for a sort of before and after assessment?
We think we'll grow. Our projection is 130,000 people per year, we believe, will happen in that theatre. It'll take a couple of years to establish those figures, but it is very visible, and certainly with our program of advertising we do, our sponsors, people like Metro Magazine and the like, we certainly will be very keen on developing our numbers to increase numbers.
I'm thinking more in terms of the numbers around the wider effect that theatre will have in that area, and that may be the sort of thing that ATED may be able to assist with.
Yes, I think
not sure.
that we've designed we're going to use it as our principle. It's the 28 weeks a year that we will use it. We're already taking bookings for other people to use it. New Zealand Opera has booked it. We've designed the stage for New Zealand Ballet, so it's deep enough for modern dance, and we will be very keen to work that building as hard as it can in terms of other people using it and booking it.
To measure the economic impact, I think is, I guess what you're touching on is, we did an initial piece of work which basically set the basics, which is with the Tourism Institute at AUT, to look at what a base benchmark might be, and once we get into the opening, it will be timely for us to go back and start putting and we also consulted with all the businesses in the area about what they thought the impact of the theatre might be, and so I think it would be a very useful piece of work for us, and also for all the people that have got behind it, to say, okay, well, how do we quantify that value of that increased activity economically, as well as in terms of the principally economically, I think is the biggest one, but in terms of the cultural and social value it adds as well, will be a key measure to get.
Sure. I guess I'm thinking in terms of some report back to the council at some later point, because
well, I think
obviously
that's
we've
what this
invested
is,
some money.
Councillor Walker, and I
Sure.
think this is what this is. And
Absolutely.
So, and I'm very concerned we now have somebody else as well. So thank you very much, Lester and Gordon. Thank you. I know, Kathy, I'm sorry, but we are watching time. We've got another meeting this afternoon so I've got to get this one through. So thank you very much. And we now have WaterSafe Auckland.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure who's here from WaterSafe Auckland.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Welcome.
Thank you. Ena mana, ena reo, rau rangatira, ma tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. To all authorities, all voices, to the many chiefs that are gathered here, greetings, greetings, greetings to you all.
Right.
I'm Sandy Guscott. I'm Acting Chief Executive of WaterSafe Auckland. I have stepped down from the board of WaterSafe to take on this role, and I've only been doing this for a couple of weeks, so I've got notes that I'm going to be referring to.
That's fine.
And I have with me Teresa Stanley, and she's the Research and Development Manager at WaterSafe Auckland, which we also call Y. So our vision is a WaterSafe Auckland free from drowning. We want to prevent drowning through education, and we're passionate about this, and it drives everything that we do. We work with community, workplace and educational institutions to inform, enable and advocate for best practice in water safety. We greatly appreciate the funding from Auckland ratepayers, which enables us to develop, facilitate and deliver a wide variety of drowning prevention programs. We also actively seek non-ratepayer funding to supplement and complement this, such as the life jackets for our life jacket loan scheme. We have 5 goals and all our work programs revolve around these. They are leadership, to provide effective drowning prevention leadership, research, to provide leading-edge knowledge to inform evidence-based practice, education, to enable best practice water safety education, and advocacy, to champion water safety education and drowning prevention. We've also added a fifth goal, which is around sustainability. We want to be a future-proof water-safe Auckland by 2025, which is aspirational, but we think achievable. To put our work in context, I'd like to talk about drowning statistics. Last year in New Zealand, there were 113 drowning deaths, 23 more drownings than the year before when there were 90. However, Auckland had the lowest rate per capita with 0.8 per 100,000 to a national drowning rate of 2 per 100,000. In other words, the drownings in Auckland were 14% of the national toll, despite having 33% of the population. 16 people lost their lives to drowning in the Auckland region last year, 5 less than our 5-year average of 21. But even one life lost is too many. Although long term we're making progress on reducing our drowning toll, there's still a long way to go. You may or may not know that 80% of last year's drownings were men, with underestimation of risk and overestimation of confidence being critical common factors. Our programs are evolving, responsive, but not reactive to the needs of our changing communities. I've selected 5 activities to share with you to highlight our achievements and future work. The first activity is Pacific Life Jacket Hubs, which we started in 2012 and has grown since then to 25 Pacifica Church community hubs. We obtain sponsorship for the life jackets and provide these to the hub with resources. The community also receives from Y essential and practical water competence education. This has been so successful, we're now working on establishing life jacket hubs in Marae and Asian communities. The second activity evolved from a rock fishing safety program we ran on the West Coast. The crab fishing program was a collaboration with New Zealand Police and Surf Life Safety Northern for the Asian community in Auckland. The program was in response to a fatal drowning that occurred in Christmas in 2014 and for numerous non-fatal drowning incidents around the Waipu area. We've got a handout that we're going to give to you later, and in this handout is a report, as an account from one of the people who went on that course, and as a result of his participation saved a person's life because of the knowledge he'd gained. And this only happened a couple of weeks ago. The third program I'd like to talk about is Whānau Nui, a community program of 5 in-water lessons which build water competence. This program is for children and their caregivers and was developed in 21 locations across Auckland. Developing water competence in children has historically led parents to perceive a lesser requirement for supervision of their children. For the first time with our last year's program, it shows that 80% of the parents now recognise that their children need to be supervised at all times when in or around water.
That's the question I was going to ask.
WaterSafe is providing education programs more and more to the workplace. We offer water safety education to meet health and safety requirements, and our clients include Auckland Council and water care services. Water competence can also be used as a medium for team development as part of a health and wellbeing program. Our fifth area, which is new for us, is Nohonga, or School Community Water Safe Hubs, where a school with a pool becomes a hub for the community, early childhood centres, other local schools without a pool, and the workplace. This has involved teachers, students and members of the community being actively involved in water safety education experiences. We have, just so that you know, we used to be up off Simon Street and we've recently shifted to West Haven Drive, and we're in the same building as the New Zealand Marine. This allows us to deliver place-based water competence programs better than we could before. We are continually involving our programs and activities, and as a result of our research-developed evidence-based programs and requests from the community, workplace and educational providers, we're providing leadership, research, education and advocacy, and we want to become sustainable for the future. And we'd like to thank you for your continued support of Water Safe Auckland.